And hello, World Wide Web. Welcome to the Hangin' with Web show. And today we are going to be watching one of our absolute favorite musicals. We are going to be watching the 1970 version of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. And that one stars Albert Finney and also Alec Guinness and a whole other cast of star-studded characters, and we are going to have such an awesome time watching this. It's one of the things that we do every year. And so this year, we thought we would share it with you. But before we do that, we'll be right back after this message.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
This is Cosplay Michael with the Hangin' with Web show. I want to tell you about my friends at Embellis Effects in Orlando, Florida. They've got makeup, costumes, and props for all of your costume needs. And the team at Embellis Effects is helpful and friendly. Embellis Effects is one of my favorite places, and I know it will be yours too. I'll see you there. Or go to embelliseffects.com. And remember, cosplay is for everyone.
In the summer of 1953, private investigator Will Lucky Marks was working as the in-house private eye for Arcane Pacific Pictures. Trapped inside the studio with the killer, Lucky must find the killer before time runs out. Lot 28. Own it today. Available iTunes and Amazon.com.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Back Talk with Bauer. I am Josh of J. Bauer Art, the host of this crazy mess I call a show.
Back Talk with Bauer. Interview. Observation. Insights. Discussion. And lots of antics, hijinks, and shenanigans. It's all on Back Talk with Bauer.
I will catch you guys.
I'm David Thompson.
I'm Thomas Carter Rochester, and we're the hosts of Lights, Thunder, Action.
Join us weekly as we discuss the latest news in comic book movies and the film industry at large.
As well as the Trilogy of Trilogies, where we review trilogies you vote for us to talk about in the Tournament of Trilogies.
We go live on our Lights Thunder Action Show Facebook page and the HWWS Web TV YouTube channel every weekend.
Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts to stay up to date with the Lights Thunder Action Show.
Hello, everybody. I made it into the studio.
You did.
That's right. It was it's frightening out there. The weather outside is just snowing, blowing somewhere. I don't know, on Earth.
I don't know. There
not
might
here.
have been.
It was sunny and 70 here.
There might have been not a snowflake.
That's right. Welcome, guys, to the Hangin' with Web show and HWWS Web TV's presentation of Film Freaks. This is our Film Freaks watch along. I want to say hi in the chat already to Grant and Carl. And everybody that's dropping into the chat. So please make sure you go ahead and do me a favor, hit like and hit share. Share this to your Facebook pages. Share it to your personal pages, etc. Yes. Help us get a little thing. We want to share what we've learned and our enjoyment of this particular film. We're doing the 1970s adaptation of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, Scrooge.
It's my favorite.
That's right. This is starring Albert Finney, Sir Alec Guinness as Jacob Marley. Ooh. That's right. This is Sir Alec Guinness's first attempt at a Force Ghost.
How cool is that?
How cool is that?
Yes.
And
in 1970.
In 1970, yes.
7 years before.
Oh my! 7 years. just like Marley to Scrooge. 7 years, and he would be another Force Ghost when he plays Obi-Wan Kenobi. Who knew? Maybe Alec Guinness knew. I don't know.
He could have.
He could have. That's right.
It's Alec Guinness.
Whoops. Almost forgot to like. Yes, please. Thank you, Grant.
Yes.
So, guys, we're going to watch along as we get into Albert Finney and Sir Alec Guinness's Scrooge from 1970. We wanted to share a little bit of the history, though, of this particular story.
Oh, yes. It needs to be shared.
There's a fantastic, if you guys haven't seen it yet, over on HBO Max, there's a fantastic movie called The Man Who Invented Christmas.
Oh, that was
and
so wonderful.
It is a very humorous look at the process of Charles Dickens writing A Christmas Carol.
And how it came to be.
And how it came to be.
Yes.
There's a lot of great humor and a lot of poetic license, if you will, taken with the adaptation. But it's a lot of fun to watch. But so A Christmas Carol's been around a long time, almost 170 years now.
Wow.
That's right.
That's
In
a long time.
1843, Charles Dickens independently published A Christmas Carol, because none of the they wanted Charles Dickens to do another novel, but none of them wanted to touch this story. When Dickens pitched A Christmas Carol as a ghost story at Christmas, everybody was like, "Oh no, that's too dark. Nobody's going to want that at Christmas." Interestingly enough, it came out on December 19th of 1843. By Christmas Eve, just 5 days later, the 6,000 copies that he had printed were sold out
completely
of London bookstores. That's right. And in the next year, he would re-release through the publishing through publishers 13 editions.
Yes. Well, because we know
13 editions
with all of our writers that you don't ever stop tweaking.
No,
You know,
that's
you
right.
fix
He
some
kept fixing things up. 13 editions in the first year. By 1844, there had been 13 editions of A Christmas Carol.
Yes.
And so, which is just amazing to think. Interestingly enough, now we're watching a film adaptation. This is the first filmed musical adaptation of Scrooge.
Exactly. Period.
While the musical tradition dates back to 1964, and in fact is the longest running musical musical adaptation of a piece of literature in theater history.
How fantastic!
It
is
has
that?
run continuously since 1964. It was the current actor playing Scrooge as of 2015 was
hold
boy.
on. I can Google
Yeah.
it, 'cause I'm a good
but
Googler.
Now, interestingly enough, in the 1990s, around 1993, 1994,
Tom Killam.
Tom Killam is
Yes.
the current
In 2015,
iteration,
that's
2015. However, in 1994, Dina and I got to go to Madison Square Garden and see the Broadway edition of Scrooge.
Oh, with Tony Randall.
Tony Randall, that's
Oh,
right.
wow.
That was
How cool
amazing,
is
and it was
that?
fantastic to see. It was awesome. It's the longest running Broadway musical based on literature ever. That's fantastic. And but they started putting putting actors to the Scrooge story that year in 1844. 3 different adaptations of Scrooge hit the stage.
That is an incredible testament.
Yeah, and I understand one of them was actually signed off on by Charles Dickens.
Oh, yes.
He actually was a supporter of one of those productions.
So
So from its very beginnings, this has been being adapted to
Yes.
film, to the stage. It's even been an opera.
The Passion of Scrooge.
The Passion of Scrooge.
Yes.
The opera. That's right. It's even been an opera. So that's amazing, isn't it, guys?
I love it.
It's funny to me that most of the great Christmas stories are actually pretty sad. Yeah. Interestingly enough, Grant, Christmas is that time to find hope.
Yes.
Okay. And so if you're going to find hope and redemption and things through the holiday season, they always start out kind of bleak.
They do.
Yeah. So
And Dickens himself was very good
at bleak.
beginning it. Yeah. Yes.
He
Indeed,
was good at bleak.
Yes.
Period. So so this has been ongoing. Now, probably one of the most well-known adaptations of A Christmas Carol was 1951 Christmas Carol or Scrooge rather. It was titled Scrooge.
Yes, it has gone through
with,
several different titles.
Alistair Sim as Scrooge. That's one of the most well-known. And I know from some of our HWWS Web TV family members that they actually go back even further. They Mark Bealey over Saturday Morning Cartoon said his favorite is the 1938 starring Reginald Owen as Scrooge. but the first film adaptation of this is actually 1901. 1901. Film
Isn't
is
that
barely
amazing?
Film is barely a thing yet, right?
Yes.
So
and then it was what? Marley's Ghost.
Marley's Ghost, that's
Yes.
right. Which came along. And then here's a neat one. In 1913, Sir Seymour Hicks, they did the British film Scrooge, okay, which wasn't released in the United States until 1926. And it was
Wow.
called Old Scrooge.
Oh, Old Scrooge.
Old Scrooge.
Yes, not
And
the new
so,
one.
Yeah. And so again, but there has been continuous adaptations of this film.
Yes.
In 2019, we were fortunate enough to see the Guy Pearce adaptation of Scrooge.
That was phenomenal.
That was carried. It was a miniseries carried by Hulu. We checked that out. Very dark.
It was
very, very dark. As Grant was saying, very sad. They have a
Yes.
deep tradition of that. But this one was really a dark dive. Apropos for the times, I suppose.
That's true.
Very
Very different from some of the other folks on our HWWS Web TV crew.
Yep.
Whose favorite is the Muppet version.
The Muppet. That's right. Ryan Permisson over at
Yes.
Nerd Culture said his favorite adaptation is the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Hi ho.
And that is
I'm Bob
just
Cratchit.
awesome. And again, there's so many adaptations of this
Yes.
from animated, musical, deep dramas, dark dramas. One of my favorites is Sir Patrick Stewart
Yes.
in the title role of Scrooge
Sir Patrick Stewart.
in A Christmas Carol. And then, of course, this one. I love this one every year.
Yes.
This is the first film musical adaptation,
Mhm.
and it was great.
It was also the first of for Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. It was
Uh-huh.
the first time it was actually nominated for an Oscar.
That's right. And it was actually nominated for several that year, wasn't it? I think it was
I think
three or
four. It received 4 nominations.
Four nominations
and one
for
of
an
them was
Oscar.
for some of the music.
Yes.
So, and this was the very first time, and then it would never be nominated again for another 12 years
Wow.
until Mickey's Christmas Carol.
And what was Mickey? That was a music nomination.
Yes.
Had to be. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's fantastic. Grant says he grew up on the Mickey Mouse one. Yes. And it's still one of the most popular ones to date.
It is,
among children,
yes.
particularly. And of course, that introduced the Scrooge McDuck character. who went
Scrooge
on-
McDuck.
Yes. Went on
Yes.
to other. I mean, he went on to be sort of the heroic figure,
Mhm.
post redemption Scrooge McDuck.
Yes.
Who got to be on all kinds of series and things all over Disney Channel. So that's pretty neat stuff. But so here we are with the first musical adaptation of Scrooge.
Yeah.
And we're going to dive into that a little bit. And as we do, we're going to share some tidbits along the way. Just an FYI for everybody out there, please like and share this video.
Yes.
We'd love to share our insights and this film with you and your social media followings and everyone along in your audience. This is supposed to be a lot of fun, and we really want it to be a lot of fun for
Yes.
you.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm excited.
So wait, we have
What? What is that?
yeah. That's okay.
Okay,
let's-
that's creepy.
yeah, it is. Let's okay. All right, ready? Okay. And so, that's creepy, scary. Thank you, Jacob Marley, for joining the party. Thank you. Jacob Marley's here. Yes.
Do we have to leave that open?
I don't feel so good. It's probably just an undigested bit of
Oh, a bit
Beef.
of bad potato.
bad potato or a bit of bad beef.
Mustard.
That's
Yes.
right.
Shouldn't have had that mustard.
Yes.
Yes.
This is one of the, also in terms of literature, this is probably one of the most quoted piece of literature. Okay.
Indeed.
And Grant had mentioned in the chat how many theaters are not doing A Christmas Carol right now. Can you imagine that?
No, I
Wow.
can't.
Yeah. Because it's one of the most produced
Yeah.
local theater, like volunteer theater plays.
I will bet you
Community
though.
theater, yeah.
How fun would it be?
Mhm.
Because somebody has to be doing it somewhere that we could have a Zoom adaptation.
A Zoom adaptation of Scrooge.
That would be cool.
Wow. See, I try to make I try to set all my privacy settings so that ghosts can't bother me on social
Oh.
media.
Oh, I see.
I try, because I just don't want that,
No.
So, but it so guys, thank you guys for being with us. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for all the likes and the love. We do appreciate it. Please share this video around this live feed. We may be joined during our watch along by several of our HWW Web TV family members. our family of stars. Yeah, they'll pop in and pop out throughout the viewing of this film. If you want to watch the film unmolested by our bits of trivia or sarcasm, by all means, right here on HWWS Web TV, there is a perfectly clean copy of the 1970 adaptation Scrooge.
Yes,
with
because
Albert
I
Finney.
do intend to sing along at some points. It'll be quiet, and you don't want him to sing anyway.
You don't want me to sing.
So, but
nobody
still,
wants me to sing ever.
But we're all going to enjoy watching this together.
We are. This is going to be
Yes.
a lot of fun. Dina is
agree.
lined up over there at the control board. Go ahead and bring up the movie. Bring it up into the thing here.
Bring on the movie.
Let's switch the view real quick because we're gonna talk a little bit more. There we go. No. Over there. There you go. All right. There.
Oops.
I just bounced out. Me and I'm way too close to Marley right now for my own comfort level.
That's good. You be.
This is the Marley, by the way, from the Disney adaptation, animated adaptation, featuring Jim Carrey's performance as Scrooge.
That would scare you.
Yeah,
That scares me.
and
I'm
so
right here.
yeah, he's his
Mhm.
teeth. He's got a teeth problem there.
No,
And,
that's Groot.
that's Groot.
Yes.
He's got, wow. Groot
I
gets to
am
be a
Groot.
toothpick today. So guys, we're gonna get ready to watch this film. Please enjoy, watch along with us, share throughout the course of the film. As I know Sage is going to be over there sharing some
Let's
in
comment
just a
away.
minute, and comment and leave your comments, and we'll try to read them as we can.
Mhm.
And we're just gonna have a bit of fun. It's some Christmas magic here, guys. So let's go ahead and bring the film up a little bit, and let's go ahead and let's watch this film together. Something happened.
Well,
Oh, because Sage is not. All right, we're gonna. Okay, so Sage is gonna get that
yeah.
screen share back to rights, if you will.
I will. I'm going to get this back. Hold on one second.
And while she does that, we'll give you a little more trivia, a little more Scrooge trivia. And you guys put in the chat there too if you have a favorite adaptation, a favorite actor that's brought Scrooge to life. I remember being introduced to Scrooge when I was very young, not only through these classic films, but Henry Winkler, the Fonz himself, brought to the screen An American Christmas Carol back in the day. And that was a lot of fun to watch. And then, of course, I think for a lot of people, one of the favorite adaptations of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol of all times is Bill Murray's Scrooged, which is still one of my favorites and one of the funniest adaptations. It's really a lot of fun to watch Bill Murray as a Scrooge, if you will.
I'm gonna do a little movie magic here, but Dina's got to be really quick because I don't want to share it. Just so ready to be fast.
I don't even know what you're doing.
All right, I have to reshare.
Yes.
I had a little bit of difficulties.
No. No, that's not going to work.
Oh.
I know that's not going to work already. Unless, I don't know. Okay, guys. So anyway, we're getting ready for this film, and we're going to try to present it to you as well as we can. Sage is going to go ahead and drop off of her laptop out of here altogether and come back in and prepare. Knew somebody would bring up Scrooge. Yes. Scrooged is actually, I think it's just a beloved adaptation of this film. So we are, yes. And it is just brilliantly done. And one of our favorites to watch too. Again, this has been made, I think, more than 50 different film adaptations altogether since 1901. And from all around the world, all different variations and versions. And many Christmas stories in television have actually been adaptations. Like the Christmas special would be an adaptation of A Christmas Carol. And so that is really a lot of fun. The perils of live shows. Yes, indeed, Carl, it is. When you broadcast live, you have to worry a lot sometimes about technology working with you, and we're solving that problem right now. We're bringing in the movie here very, very shortly. But again, we've got so much trivia. This is a storied Christmas tale, because it starts with a lot of and by a well-known author of the day. Dickens was no stranger to the publishing industry when he was writing A Christmas Carol. They wanted him to write a new story so that they could publish it. And then he shows up with a Christmas ghost story and nobody wants it. Nobody at all. So he goes around town and he go ahead and get the share all set. He goes around town and Dickens, I don't know what I'm watching. Why am I watching me? When he was writing. No sense. Okay. So again, we're waiting on technology, guys. We've had this trouble here, I guess, since about 20 minutes before the show. We rehearsed and we got ready and everything like that. George C. Scott, 1984, George C. Scott as Ebenezer Scrooge in A Christmas Carol. It was brilliantly done. And I think everyone really, that was the first time I think we got a modern dark adaptation of Scrooge. And it was pretty dark. It was pretty grim. And again, and I think that really stayed as the pinnacle dark Scrooge for quite some time, right up until last year. I think 2019's Guy Pearce brought the title role to Scrooge on Hulu. And it was a BBC, I think, miniseries, and that was shared on Hulu.
It was,
and it was brilliant and everything. Another great look at Charles Dickens' world, though, is the Amazon Prime series from the BBC, Dickensian.
Oh, that was just absolutely fantastic.
Which centers, it takes all of Dickens' characters from multiple novels.
Yes.
And puts them,
including this one,
puts them in a gritty Victorian London borough, and tries to solve the murder of Marley 7 years before the events of A Christmas Carol. And we jumpstart a lot of our stories from Oliver Twist and Bleak House, and all of our stories get jump-started from this moment.
That's exactly right.
Which is really an intriguing look. Okay, guys, so here we go. We have, let's see. Weird echoes. Yeah, yes. Audio is so hard on these live broadcasts. So, okay, guys, we have all fired up over here. We have the film. Go ahead and bring that up, and let's go ahead and fire up Scrooge.
Sing a song of gladness and cheer, sing gladness and cheer, for the time of Christmas is here. Look around about you and see what a world of wonder this world can be. Sing a Christmas carol, sing a Christmas carol, sing a Christmas carol.
I love that it's sort of story illustrations to lead you in during the opening music. I think that's awesome. I really do.
All the joy and beauty, that's a Merry Christmas and
For those of you who are just joining in the chat, thank you for coming and hanging out with us and watching Scrooge.
I love these cartoon drawings in the beginning. It reminds me of what's actually in Charles Dickens' adaptation in his book, because he always had those small illustrations.
Yeah, and of course in later editions, again, in the first year, this got 13 adaptations by 1844. So in those early editions, most of it was not illustrated, but then later illustrations were added, and it was interesting to see the ways that different illustrators, different artists saw Ebenezer Scrooge. I mean, Albert Finney in this film brings a very interesting look to Ebenezer Scrooge. They had to age him up for this.
Yeah, he was only 33 when he filmed this.
He's actually younger than the person that played his nephew.
He was.
Who was actually part of the production.
Okay, he was a player.
Please, in the chat, guys, let us know if you can hear this okay, if everything is playing through the way it's supposed to. Yeah.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Oh.
Look, nice transition. That was a great transition from the art.
Glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and the
Interesting
sea
factoid:
of
caroling,
glory
as the tradition of caroling
Mhm.
goes. Caroling was actually sort of
There'll be no peace on earth with all
an
that blooming
interesting
noise
phenomenon
going on.
that
Here,
the
boys.
carolers would actually harass homes and things until they were paid to go away. During at different times, and the early caroling tradition is sort of from house to house, and you would annoy and sing
Yes.
and annoy the.
See, yeah, I would pay them to go away after a minute.
That's really what it was about.
Yeah.
It really was. They would come by, they would sing a song a little bit, and then it became something that people looked forward to every year. And it
Mhm.
became a tradition. The tradition of caroling became a pleasant tradition, and you look forward to those carolers coming to the house. But early on, it was something that you get to pay them to go away. And if you didn't pay them, they wouldn't go away. They would stop.
Wow.
Horrible caterwauling. I can't believe a man in peace. Get on with your work, Cratchit. Stay away from me, you scavengers.
Blimey, who's he? That's
Blimey.
Father Christmas.
A plague on Father Christmas.
And he sends his best to you too, Governor.
Get out.
Now, Christmas.
It's always the grumpy fella in the neighborhood too. All the kids,
Them ruffians coming
No.
here with
Get
their
off of my snow.
Christmas nonsense.
so they gravitate toward him.
Not funny.
Beware, Cratchit. You have a
Be laughing,
dangerous
Bob
sense of
Cratchit.
humor. Fire and damnation. Don't they know that I'm trying to run a business here?
Uncle Ebenezer.
I love that it's already
Tell
late
you what
too
a
in
joy
these
it is
opening
to see your
scenes
happy,
because
smiling face.
of course it's winter time, so it gets dark
Merry
early.
Christmas,
It
Uncle
does.
Ebenezer.
But so many
God
adaptations,
save you.
show all of these things happening throughout the course of the day,
Christmas a
Mm.
humbug.
the business day.
Come now.
I love that it's already late in this one, and it shows that Scrooge, puts in those long hours.
So actually,
This
if
is
you
his
looked at the clock,
primary thing.
it was like 5 minutes to 7.
You've got to be miserable. You're rich enough.
There is no such
He's
thing
been
as
at it
rich
all
enough,
day,
only
Mhm.
poor
counting
enough.
and counting
Don't
more.
be so dismal, Uncle Ebenezer.
What else can I be when I live in a world full of fools babbling Merry Christmas at one another? What's Christmas but a time for
It's
finding
cold
yourself
in there.
a year older, another day richer? There's nothing merry in that. If I could work my will, nephew, every idiot.
What a quote! What a quote!
Should be boiled with his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart.
Wow. Interestingly enough, Merry Christmas, the term Merry Christmas, I understand, dates back to the 1500s.
It does. Back to 1534, they found the first Merry Christmas written in a letter.
Mhm.
But it didn't start to become popular
Until Dickens,
until
right?
Dickens, because he kind of reinvented it.
Yeah, I would say.
And everybody started to say Merry Christmas in Victorian England.
Yes. I think just to make Scrooge angry.
Probably.
Yes.
Oh, Bob Cratchit,
Uh-oh.
stuck your foot in your mouth again.
Another word from you, Cratchit, and you will celebrate Christmas by.
I'd like to ask
losing your
everybody in the chat
teeth.
if they can hear everything well. I hope they can.
Sorry, Mr. Scrooge.
All good.
All good on the
Awesome.
sound. Thank you, Carl.
I
Thank
wonder
you very
don't
much.
Go into politics, you fool enough.
Come now. Don't
Going
be
into
angry.
politics. Can you?
Dine
That's a
with my
great
wife
quote
if you
too. It shows
So
the
you haven't got
disdain
enough
that Scrooge
problems,
has
you
for
might
his
conduct yourself
nephew.
married. Now, why in
The
God's name
very
would you ever do
idea,
that?
Because I fell
it's a
in love
wonder
with
you
the
don't
lady.
go into Parliament.
Thing in the world
That's very
more
true.
Yeah,
naughty
he's a good
than
speaker.
Merry
It's down at the
Christmas,
bottom.
it's the
And
hypocrisy.
yeah, you're
Happy
quite a power
marriage
speaker. I
with
wonder you don't go into
idiot
Parliament.
lovesick female.
It just shows that Scrooge has very little regard for his nephews, what he views as his nephew's lack of ambition.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's just too merry.
Good afternoon.
Merry Christmas, Uncle.
Yep.
You too, Bob Cratchit, and your family.
Again,
Thank you, sir.
just
And to your good
to
night.
get under Uncle Ebenezer's.
Oh, one more time.
Happy New Year. Good
Oh.
afternoon.
To think I've lived to be good afternoon. Like I was selling buttons at the door.
Nice Gandalf there.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Happy Christmas in England. It is. It's a very. It varies from geolocation to geolocation. Merry Christmas actually is from the English back in what?
1534.
1534. But Happy Christmas became more of a saying for
Mhm.
many, many, many years.
Indeed.
And then again, Dickens recoined Merry Christmas. And
So funny you should say recoined,
Don't wish to be
because we just watched him counting, right?
yes, he was
Would it be
spent
too
his
much
day
trouble for
counting.
me to have my wages, sir?
Poor excuse for picking a man's pocket.
The
Yes.
trouble with you, Cratchit, is that all you think of is pleasure. Pleasure and squandering money.
I know as we approach the holidays this year, especially in the 2020, the year of COVID, people are starting to return to work, starting to return to retail, and some are returning home again after spikes in the pandemic.
Yes.
That this quote I think is particularly apropos today, in that it's hard this time of year when you don't have resources to want to celebrate the holidays.
That's true.
And but it is a good reminder that it's what it's about and what it's not about.
Mhm.
And
I don't pay good
So-
money for you to be forever on holiday.
I appreciate your kindness, Mr. Scrooge.
That's my weakness. I'm a martyr to my own generosity.
a martyr to his own generosity. Isn't
Wow,
it?
yeah.
Must stay
Wow.
off and you
Do you
And he
see-
really, this is the thing about the character of Scrooge, and what makes him, I think, redeemable in the end, is that he really does. There's a certain Victorian virtue in work,
Yes.
and the idea, the pursuit of wealth and station,
Hmm.
and he's sort of an old-fashioned building and loan.
Christmas with you.
He is indeed.
George Bailey would make that a noble
No offense, sir.
calling. 100
Well,
years
that just
later,
makes Scrooge all persnickety.
yeah, and so that's
However, I would like to point out that he does
There's another
agree
one.
to give Bob Cratchit the day. Not that
Yes.
he's happy about it, but he's
15
still in
shillings a
the
week
end
for
gives him
wife
the day.
he
5
does.
children. Still talks of a Merry Christmas.
And as children do, window shopping.
I have to hand it to these children because they don't stick their faces or their fingers up against the window.
That we know of.
True.
They probably do. Who's down there in the comments? That's who we have here. Wonderful. We do a lot of the time. We really,
Yes.
really do, and that makes this time of the year the more difficult in 2020 because so many people have been out of work and have not been able to be. I know we feel it acutely every day.
That's true.
We haven't been
do.
able to be out in the field
Sorry, mate.
with the Hanging with Web
Mr.
show.
Scrooge and I had a lot of last-minute business to attend to. Well, my loves, which one do you like best, eh?
I like that dolly in the corner. I like all of them.
Good boy. And why not one in particular?
Well, he said I can't have none of them.
Movie stars
I
today.
might as well
Yeah,
have
well, and it's interesting
You are
because
a
again they
philosopher
aged him up for
and a
this.
gentleman.
And a young
And I've
Scrooge,
got
and this is
15
closer to
shillings in my
Albert
pocket.
Finney's actual
How
age.
about you?
And
15
he's tall,
shillings. It says that the
kinda,
Cratchit family are going to have
he's not a
good
horrible
Christmas
looking fella,
as the Lord Mayor of
Interestingly
London himself.
enough, they aged him up for this, and they aged him up to a Scrooge that literally looks nothing like
into Christmas
Albert Finney.
windows.
That's true.
Those a lot of you will know
Your
Albert
world is
Finney
pretty as
more
a
recently
tree.
from the 90s movie
Christmas
Rock
trees
with
and
Julia
toys,
Roberts.
Christmas hopes
He did, and
joys.
that's what
Christmas
Albert Finney
puddings rich with Christmas cream.
very
Christmas
age
presents
very
shine in the Christmas
gentleman does,
window.
but he got a little heavier. So this tall,
Boxes
lanky
tied with pretty bows.
is not at all how Albert Finney
What
aged.
delights
He shrunk
they
and
hide.
sleepy and,
But till Christmas morning, no one knows.
You
with 5 children, Bob. 5 for a shilling.
And Annie.
Thank you, John.
that's right.
Won't
Yeah,
Daddy
you
Warbucks.
please
Daddy
help
Warbucks.
him
Yeah,
lift
more-
it
Did, it was interesting, those characters, the actors really bring a
I
gravity to their role,
suppose that
and
children
you can lose track
everywhere
of
will
how
say a Christmas prayer.
Till Santa brings
because he
their
commits to
Christmas things.
There, my loves. I brought you the finest bird in the shop. Well, for 1 and 10%.
Christmas
An interesting
children
thing,
live in a Christmas
several years,
daydream,
many years ago now. It was many years ago.
waiting for the magic
Our older
to
children were still kids.
unfold.
We had a Thanksgiving here. It happened to be a really, really tight year, really tough year.
The
much like
Christmas
2020.
pot of gold.
And at Thanksgiving time, we
Hypnotizes
sat with the
children
children at the
young
dining
and
table. We had a
old.
turkey that was less than the size of that goose. It was literally one of those family packs of sliced turkey and gravy. That was our Thanksgiving turkey that year. And you know, if you ask the boys to this day, they will tell you that's one of their favorite Thanksgiving. Yeah, it's so much fun. That Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I have a
I'd
question.
rather have the oranges.
Where did they find all those beautiful oranges in Victorian England in winter?
On a ship.
Thank you, Mr.
Just saying.
On a ship from the groves of Florida,
quality punch, Mr.
no
Steele,
doubt.
only tuppence a pint. Christmas punch, it's a Cratchit speciality.
The pudding.
The pudding, that's right. What is, do you know, and does anybody in the chat know, what is a traditional Christmas pudding? It's a plum pudding, isn't it? Yeah. What is a traditional Christmas pudding?
It could be plum pudding.
Here we are, my loves.
Yes.
What we bought for you?
Not actually pudding pudding.
Not per se, not the way we
beginning to think you'd all
more
run
of a
away
cake.
for
Yes,
Christmas.
it is.
Yeah.
It's more of a cake.
Christmas children hunger for Christmas.
Yeah, it's the way it's baked and everything. And
Christmas days are
it comes
wonderful
almost like a
behold.
gelatin cake. Sort of like those
Young
fillings.
ones' dreams come true, not so young ones too. I believe that's
I really just think it's called Mrs. Cratchit.
You're not the only ones who've been busy. Come and see what we've been up
Not
to.
so young.
No.
Wow.
As in comparison to the children.
I would hope so. Otherwise, she would have smacked him good and hard.
I've seen what she can do with the.
We got some more folks in the chat. It's awesome. Thank you guys for being with us today. Please like and share this video. Yes, the comparison was actually really good. No idea what figgy pudding is. Some
not
fig
sure that's
Newtons
quite
in a
right.
bowl of pudding. I like that, Grant. That's
It'll work though. Your fig Newton would be
I
your
wonder if
spoon.
the fig filling in
Good evening, sir.
is similar to a figgy pudding. It'd be a
Have
fig
we the pleasure
base.
of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
It's no
pleasure to
Maybe.
sir,
to be I don't know. addressed
by either
Very interesting.
Mr. Marley has been dead these 7 years. 7 years ago this very night.
I'm into that, man. It is.
We've no doubt his
liberality. You know, Dickens did a fantastic job in all of his literature. Dickens did a fantastic job of really attacking the inequities of Victorian society.
It is more than usually
And
desirable
it's something
that
really
we should
well
make
known
some
for. He was
slight
sort of the
provision for the poor
original
and the
social
rescued.
justice
Excellent,
warrior.
and I suggest you do
Who
so.
pointed out some of
miss
the
our point,
massive
sir.
inequities
The
in
poor suffer
Victorian
greatly at the
society.
He
present
told,
time. Many thousands are in want of common necessaries.
and
there are no prisons?
something.
Oh, indeed there are, sir. That's something there's no shortage of.
And the workhouses, are they still in operation? They are,
in the situation that they were in England. And
I'm very glad to hear it. For a moment, I was afraid that something had occurred to stop them in their
This
use.
is another classic lines
Oh,
coming
but sir,
that in
a
many
few of
ways
us are
die.
endeavoring to raise a fund
Go
to
to
buy
these
the poor
places.
some meat and drink and means of warmth.
And
We
Scrooge's
choose this time,
response
sir,
is
because it is a time when want is keenly felt and abundance.
it does. It really
What may we put you down for,
pulls,
sir? Nothing, sir. You wish to be anonymous. I wish to be
Yeah.
left alone, sir. That is what I wish. I don't make myself merry at Christmas, and I cannot afford to make idle people merry. I have been forced to support the establishments I have mentioned through taxation, and God knows they cost more than they're worth. Those who are badly off must go there. Many would rather die than go there. If they would rather die, then they had better
There it
do
is.
it. and
What
increase the surplus
that just
population.
drives home who Scrooge is at this point in his
Yes.
life. You know,
Hunger!
and
wow.
Balderdash.
wow, and just an amazing sentiment for anyone.
I know.
Pharisees and
But he doesn't do. It's not. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. He explains himself beforehand, you know, through taxation and through, you know, the things he was forced, money he was forced to give up. He supports the institutions that the rules are there to help the poor and to help society to, you know, really believe. And he doesn't understand what those inequities are, which is interesting because when we watch a large juxtaposition between Scrooge's state
I hate people.
and British aristocracy.
I hate
So the upper merchant class versus the aristocracy. Again, that juxtaposition to the
good for nothing, kickable creatures. I hate people.
So you really see a very highly
them.
society between the aristocracy, wealthy and Scrooge was the upper merchant class, ambitious and driven toward aristocracy.
But if you notice, Scrooge, even though we see him have meager meals, they really aren't. He doesn't worry about heat or his roof or food.
He has no real concern.
He worry about that all the time.
Yeah, and he actually, dare not do a screw. Oh Lord!
Oh my goodness!
Every time he complains about COVID,
we'd be dead by midnight.
We went long before then.
We wouldn't even make it. Yeah.
Like this.
Terry McIver from Ireland here in the house. Terry, thank you so much. And thank you for sharing all of our HWS Web TV content.
£2, 5 shillings, ladies, due before Christmas. That means today.
You see, Mr. Scrooge, sir, we've been giving more credit than usual.
That's your business,
Now,
Mr.
I
Man.
understand that the original Christmas Carol sold
now.
for the equivalent of what would be about £25 today.
Yes.
And that was
It was 5 shillings.
5 shillings.
5 shillings.
And that would be about 20 bucks. About 35 bucks. About 25 pounds.
Yes.
About 35 bucks today. And that's the original Christmas Carol sold in bookstores.
Oh, we scarcely make that much in a week.
If you would prefer me to confiscate your stall and its contents, which is my legal right, I will do so.
But will you pay, sir?
You will both sign this. You can give me a pair of these.
Certainly, Mr. Scrooge.
I think it's interesting to see that great bit right there because it's, he'll take a pair of socks. But he didn't write the pair of socks or what their value was down in the book.
Exactly.
He took the sock with free socks. In addition to the yeah. I mean, he really did feel like he's entitled to just take it and not jot it down in his book against your debt.
Further than I can see.
It's gonna happen again too.
Little wonder, I hate people.
Wait.
And I don't care if they hate me.
This is another interesting facet of this film as a film would be, and I know most of our indie filmmakers out there know
Now, Mr. Scrooge, please.
the way it's set on set, shot, in the
You're always performing. Where's my money?
day. The idea of dividing the screen
Tomorrow it will be £2.10, or I confiscate your pocket.
and shooting our characters on left and right, sort of off-center, was sort of in development. There were a lot of films before this that would center the action, try to follow that. If you watch this carefully, Scrooge is almost always right.
He's a skimpy.
He's a stingy lass, he's looking out for your Christmas gift.
When
And
you
you steal it. It's a shine.
a lot of films today.
For a villain to fly on Christmas night.
Like they're such sweet angels.
Yes. I love that somebody made a donation on the way by. As they continue to harass Scrooge.
It's a sight which you'll send Father Christmas on his Merry Christmas way.
Those are my favorite songs. And this bit coming up is really with a little boy.
Oh yes. Our little redhead.
One of these little boys would be Oliver.
Yes.
He's a bandit.
Come.
Come on up there, yeah. He's a crafty one. Leave your door undone. He'll go in your house.
We're just gonna hoist you up.
And say,
Here's your money, sir. Very comfortable. You waste breath, sir. No one has ever short-changed me.
Whoop.
It's a crime.
it's scandal.
Look at her.
Candles to play on Christmas
When you saw that.
Yeah. Yes.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Oh,
Oop,
crap.
let's go. Let's hide here.
So guess what? Now he's gonna get free soup.
He got free socks. He got free soup.
Mm-hmm.
And he never writes it down. He never keeps track.
Small token of Christmas esteem with the compliments of Tom Jenkins.
No.
And there'll be a free can of broth, sir, every night for the coming year in gratitude for your infinite kindness in giving me another 2 weeks to pay.
1 week.
10 days?
You got
1
that?
week.
1 week.
And put a lid on that stuff. I'll take it out.
If you distrust Father Christmas, it is well to
For
know.
the rest of the year.
It's out the way to say we should all say Father Christmas.
For the rest of the year.
Father
And he got 1 week.
Father Christmas, Father Christmas, on his Merry Christmas way.
Now, interestingly enough, again, if I'm not mistaken, these sets in 1970 that were used to film Scrooge are actually sets that were left on the back lot from 1968's filming of another Charles Dickens classic.
Indeed, they were.
Oliver, the musical, which is the musical adaptation of Oliver Twist.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I think, oh, there we go. There's our first look at the ghost of Jacob Marley, played by the incomparable Sir Alec Guinness. Amazing.
He looks like our door knocker.
He does. We have a Shakespeare door knocker, though.
Yes.
As we entered the studio.
I need to find him a tiny little.
Yeah.
Christmas hat.
Got some things going on over there in the chat. That's great. Thank you guys for coming by today, watching Scrooge with us.
Yes, loan sharking. I agree.
Yes, indeed.
Predatory
lending.
Well, I
is the
suppose, you
term
know,
here in Florida today.
Sharks are predatory by nature anyway. So.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Okay, so that would make him like the megalodon of
the megalodon
of
of loan sharks.
Yeah.
That's right. They did a really good job in Dickensian when we watched that of showing you how Scrooge is again in those strata of society. He's not really that well regarded from his contemporary businessmen, from the other upper class.
Yes.
Upper echelon of the merchant class.
He's not exactly, the friendliest
He's
kind of
not
guy.
the friendliest kind of guy.
He's got more locks on his apartment than, a New York City flat.
Yeah, he does. Excuse me. Put my Christmas hat here. Can you get that?
No sticks up.
There we go. There we go. And yeah. And again, so many of these things, he's not worried about. He doesn't have to worry about his heating or his lighting, the gas, the coal. But years of being a miser, years of saving and scrimping, leaves him almost incapable of spending, even on those things that he needs.
Indeed.
And he certainly does, by all definitions. Again,
that's hot.
One of the things that makes Scrooge a redeemable character is that he doesn't hold those poor people that he speaks so ill of. He doesn't hold any of them in lesser regard to himself. He believes what he's saying because he lives that. He doesn't put an extra lump of coal on the fire, though he's able to.
Right.
He doesn't live lavishly, although he could. He's got a very large home.
Mm-hmm.
He lives modestly and within his means, and expects those around him to do the same. Because for some reason he expects those around him to have the means that he has.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow he expects that everyone can or should.
Yes.
And it is a very, very good way that Dickens juxtaposed him with life in Victorian society.
Mm-hmm.
Not the non-aristocracy. And so many of characters did that so well. Interestingly enough, in the Dickensian that we're talking about, which can be found on Amazon Prime, they do a great job of juxtaposing Ebenezer Scrooge with the character in Oliver Twist of Fagin.
Oh, yeah.
And showing that they are of a similar socioeconomic station, despite one being clearly did a very good job with it. This guy here is always a little bit dangerous, and of course, coming to the screen, being brought to the screen here by Sir Alec. Now, I understand that Jacob Marley had a musical number originally in this film.
Yes, he did actually.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ended up on the cutting room floor, which is very sad. He was not exactly too thrilled with that, by the way.
Well, and for all the work that Sir Alec did on this film too, because this was a very difficult part,
Mm-hmm.
as Sir Alec was getting a little bit older, and I understand that they wanted him to look ghostly and like a spirit, so he does a lot of wire work in this,
Mm-hmm.
and just a very difficult. This was not his favorite.
It wasn't.
To do.
No, and it was supposed to, oddly enough, his song was "Make the Most of This Life." But no, he ended up actually having surgery shortly
he was
after
injured during this film.
Yes, for hernia surgery, because he was up on those wires, and they're very different
Than
back in the
today's,
70s than
yeah.
today's harness that they put you in.
I can imagine, yeah. Yeah, I believe that this home actually belonged to Jacob Marley in the literature.
That's interesting.
He actually they did. He was the sole heir of Marley's stuff, because the story of A Christmas Carol actually starts in the literature. It starts with the death of Marley 7 years earlier.
Oh, now,
We actually see that moment.
what do you want with me?
It actually starts with a very famous quote that is,
Quiet.
"He was dead as a doornail," and there's an entire narrative about, I don't see what is so dead as a doornail. Shouldn't it be as dead as a coffin nail? And it's there's a whole thing there. But yes, I believe Scrooge does inherit his home from his business, although he could probably afford a big home.
Probably.
But he inherits the everything from Jacob Marley. They are the only two friends that they have.
Yes.
By that time in their lives. And that was 7 years earlier than this story.
You don't believe in me, do you?
No, I don't.
Why do you doubt the evidence of your own eyes?
Because I've had a slight stomach disorder. It has undoubtedly affected my vision. You're an hallucination. Probably brought on by
A bad bit of beef. That's interesting that, it can't be a ghost.
or an old potato.
That's a bit of beef. There you go.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
you
you,
maybe
you are an old potato.
yes, that's always good.
Not exist, Jacob Marley. It's humbug, I tell you. It's a lot of
Look at that white. And
I beseech you, stop!
No, do you believe in me?
I believe in you, absolutely. Why do you walk the earth? Why do you come to persecute me? And what is that great chain you...
I love it. As it was pointed out in the chat earlier, Scrooge sees himself in the story as a victim of persecution. He thinks Marley is persecuting him.
My yard, while on earth, and now I can never be rid of it any more than you will ever be rid of yours.
Thanks, Carl.
It was as heavy.
Bits of trivia that we were able to find quotes from the original literature that we were able to the Dickensian website online, and we were able to find the quotes that they were probably stood out in both the literature and, of course, here in Scrooge. They were obviously adapted to roll through, and the language is adapted.
By other ministers.
We do. They're great little cards and great little pieces of trivia.
Men than you. When I lived, my spirit, like yours, never walked beyond the narrow limits of our counting house.
But you were always a good man of business.
Mankind should be our business, Ebenezer. But we
Another interesting thing to point out with this is that it did take him some 3 hours a day to be aged up into Scrooge. The young Finney.
To go.
Principal photography.
Yep.
Yeah. And Sir Alec, of course, had to be made up. Again, this is not a visual effect that you're seeing. You see him all pale and white. That's all makeup that changes his color. So he is pale. He is ghostly.
See the phantoms filling the sky around you. They astound you. I can tell. These inhabitants
all part of a larger musical.
of hell.
Is that correct?
That's correct. Make the most of his life.
Poor wretches whom the hand of
It was
heaven
restored though, when they took this musical version and put it on stage.
Yes, part of as they've adapted through the years from 1964, which was the original stage musical debut of Christmas Carol. It has been altered and abridged and amended many times since then, as it should have been. It is the longest running Broadway musical based on a piece of literature in the history of theater. And so it has been adapted many times. And the songs from this musical, which were Oscar-nominated songs, were later adapted for the Broadway musical. And they altered the story slightly based on this production. It was really kind of neat to do. In addition to musical adaptations and stage adaptations, I understand that this actually has also been part of an opera. It's been turned into an opera.
That's right. That was the Passion for Scrooge.
Passion of
Scrooge.
And
well, in 1923,
I love he thinks
BBC did it for the radio. They did like a radio.
I love he thinks it's all over, and there is Jacob Marley in the back just standing.
But for pity's sake I came here. Pity for you. I leave you with just the tiniest chance of escaping my fate.
You were always a good friend to me, Jacob. Thank you.
You will be visited by 3 ghosts.
I think I'd rather not.
Do I have to?
Yeah, I'd rather not. Yeah.
Tolls 1.
Couldn't I take them all at once and get it over with?
You just take them all at once and get it over with. Meh.
2 o'clock, and the 3rd, when the bell tolls 3. I must go now.
Marley, wait.
I'm doomed
The
to
performance of Sir Alec,
everlasting
as you can see him, when he does when the bell tolls 3, and you can see,
what has passed.
and of course, his next line will be that he's being called back, that he has to go back. That he's really not supposed to be where he is. But that performance in his eyes is brilliant to see as he gets lost somewhere.
Just snuck away to go talk to my friend for a minute.
Yeah.
A Oh, look, there's gonna lock all my locks.
Yeah, we're gonna
Because-
relock the door. That'll work. I'm sure.
Well,
Against the specters.
He just watched Marley come in the door and out the door, even though he did just pop in at one point. But
Yes. But remember, we actually saw him lock the doors very, very securely when he came in. Again, it does.
careful you don't get that candle too close. You'll catch everything on fire.
And look at the drapes. They haven't been
Yeah.
maintained. They haven't been taken care of since Marley died.
No.
Since this was Marley's
Well,
house.
because he's thinking, they do exactly what they're supposed to. Why should I bother to replace them?
Sure. I think we all have friends, or we know people who, in their youth or even in midlife, sometimes will just throw something up to block the light.
Three ghosts,
Yeah.
3 humbugs.
3 humbugs.
Look at that clock.
I'm interested, and I know you're over there. You're on the computer. I'm interested in the origin of the derogatory, the humbug.
That was basically started
Mm-hmm.
because I read that earlier, and it was to poo-poo anything that you didn't want to have to believe in or take seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So you could bah humbug.
Now,
just about anything.
how far before it's popularized by Dickens is humbug an expression?
Oh, that's what you want to know, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
I'll see
interested.
it.
It is because it has become so synonymous with Scrooge.
That's true.
The idea of humbug, and of course, it's been used and popularized throughout the 20th century to refer to things that we just don't believe in. They're just humbug. But I'm curious the etymology of the term, and it wouldn't be bah humbug. That's not. The BAH is not necessary. I'm just curious, but the term itself, humbug, meaning something not worthy of belief.
1751.
1751, it was used,
Yes.
and so by the time it becomes sort of part of pop culture,
And it was for its heyday because it was very much employed people of taste and fashion, and they would say, "Oh, that's humbug."
Who are you?
but more of a taste and more of an aristocracy then being used.
Indeed.
Not really so much popularized or part of pop culture until
Look like a ghost?
Ebenezer Scrooge utters those words.
Inquire more precisely who or what you are.
See, I love in the article that you're reading. It starts out with an explanation that this is what's uttered by Scrooge.
My ghost at 1 o'clock in the morning is hardly conducive to my welfare.
Its first use in print was in 1751. Is that what I'm?
Yes,
what I'm saying?
in the students.
Wow, isn't that something? That
Where are we going?
We are going to look at your childhood.
I love that the child was dressed up as a Knight Templar.
yes. Now, I do also notice that in this this is just like early Victorian, pre-Victorian world that young Scrooge lives in school. That seems to be one of the customs there at the school as they all go home, as they're all dressed up in costumes.
Do you remember these
I'm curious, maybe Terry knows in the chat or somebody, if costuming was a part of the Christmas tradition at that time in England. Interesting to me because they're all in costumes, and it's interesting for 1970.
There's
Before,
my little sister.
but I'm wondering if that was a very tradition of Christmas. I wonder if anybody in our chat might know that.
She waves back.
She cannot see you. These are but shadows of the things that have been.
Okay, this is
I could never
fantastic.
join in those Christmas
Yep.
parties.
I changed up the view a little bit.
School is
Can we do
not
that?
quite empty, is it?
Wow,
A
yeah.
solitary boy neglected
Young-
by his
young
family
Ebenezer.
is left there
Look how cold those windows are.
Yeah. I know some of our viewers and friends at HWWS Web TV. I know what those windows look like only too well this time of year.
That's true.
Huge shout out, by the way, to the host and director of Pillow Talk, Willow Schuyler, for she posted this morning a Christmas music video, a humorous 2020 version.
Nothing.
What
That
is
was
it you
fun.
wish?
It was a fun performance.
Boy singing a Christmas carol outside my door last night. I should have given him something. That's all.
Oh, yeah. Maybe I
Let's
should
look
have.
at another Christmas.
I actually, this is interesting because in the literature and also in a lot of adaptations,
Bring you home.
Home
with you, Fat.
Father is so much
Ebenezer's
kinder than he used to be.
very, very
He sent
slow
me in
to
a
come
coach
around.
to bring you home, Eddie.
And while it's not by any means coming around at this point, he is very much starting to see, right from the very beginning. He sees himself as a boy and thinks of the boy out front of his office yesterday. Everybody, welcome to the stream. From coming up on the HWS Web TV network, we are going to be launching Brian's anime. And Brian Oliver is here to join us as we watch along with Scrooge. So we'll bring Brian. Hi, Brian. How are you, man?
I'm doing fine. How about you?
Doing really, really good. Thanks for joining us today.
You actually came at a perfect time. We're about to have some festivities on the
Yes,
screen.
yes. I love old Fezziwig himself.
I love this.
Brian, are you familiar with this particular adaptation of Scrooge?
This is my, believe it or not, this is my first time seeing it. I've heard of it, but never had a proper chance to see it. So this is my first time enjoying it.
Oh, awesome. Well, I think you'll enjoy this next bit.
Oh, yeah.
This is, we're meant to see that Scrooge did not always in particular as a young man at work, which is interesting. Because if you think about the juxtaposition of this and how Scrooge treats Bob Cratchit.
Oh, wow.
This is Scrooge at work for old Fezziwig.
The like of which none of us has ever seen before. Begin.
This is probably my favorite song for me.
Wonderful.
Of all the days in all the year that I'm familiar with, there's only one that's rarely fun.
December the 25th.
Correct.
Ask anyone, call Robinson or Brown or Jones or Smith. Their favorite day, and they will say
December the 25th.
Correct.
December the 25th. December the 25th. The dearest day in all the year. December the 25th. Correct.
I think I could still dance around like that.
I think possibly.
That would be you.
That would be me.
Yeah.
Like I would be over there.
Sometimes we're glad to see the back of all our kin and kith.
But there's a date we celebrate. December the 25th. Correct. At times our friends may seem to be devoid of wit and pith.
But all of us are over us. December the 25th.
Correct. December the 25th.
December the 25th.
Even Ebenezer is standing back. But it's very bright, very sunny, and he's the boss. He's the wealthy in the room. And as we move to the very dark black grays of our older Ebenezer Scrooge. Hello, Willow. Good afternoon.
Hey, Willow.
Bye. You're welcome to hop in in the studio if you'd like to. If not, we're certainly glad that you're there. I know, and I know she's going to work. Now, Brian, are you familiar with other adaptations of A Christmas Carol?
If there's a day in history that's more than any myth,
Brian?
beyond the doubt, one day
Are you familiar with other adaptations of A Christmas Carol?
So may I say,
I can barely hear you, to be honest with you.
Okay. I was just asking if you had read or had seen other adaptations.
Now, I think I have. I think in school we had to read I can't remember what adaptation of it, but I do believe we had to read one. But That was so long ago, I can't even remember.
It does. This is one of those pieces of literature that sneaks up on you, and you hear so much reference to Dickens and Scrooge, but so many, especially young people, may not know where a lot of things
Like I told my nieces one day, I've been out of school for almost
Scrooge film. Yes, hello. This is the ghost. We are right now with the spirit of Christmas past. The spirit of Christmas past, and she is showing Scrooge those early Christmases. We started out at the boarding school where he was the first year he was left behind. At the boarding school, and then we jumped forward here to Old Fezziwigs, which is one of Scrooge's first employers, and he had a very different way of looking at the world than Scrooge does today.
Yeah.
And this is the introduction to Scrooge's love interest.
Marry her, won't you?
Interestingly enough, I love young Scrooge because if you notice, young Ebenezer,
yes,
you never hear him speak until toward the very end, when he decides his money means more to him.
Yes.
But
And
he's
you
always
listen-
very quiet during all of this.
And during this, the dance and of course the song. Older Scrooge is the one that does our singing for us. And
okay.
And so we don't see young Scrooge with any limitations.
Nope.
He's driven, he's moving forward, and he's happy. And again, this done cinematically is done very well because as we saw when we were introduced to Scrooge on the streets of London as Father Christmas. I love that song. We were introduced in very dark blacks and grays, very dark colors. Here he's in these earth tones, very mid color. He's not bright and cheery. He's not Fezziwig, who is blues and golds and these great big colors. But see, his colors are more earth tone. They're very middle of the road. So for those of you who are the students of film and cinematography, I think about those costume choices that were very important for showing the progress of Scrooge through his life. And
Willow, you're about due for some more cheer.
if you're
Well, they can't hear us well when the
Yeah.
music's going.
if you're a film fan and you think watch maybe the prequels where you see Anakin on Tatooine as a young boy into the grounds during the film, and then finally into the black just as he becomes Lord Vader in the third film, and then to the all black Darth Vader for the next bit of the film franchise. Those color choices that show you the progression visually representing where that character is. And here we have, again, very earth tone, very grounded Ebenezer Scrooge. He's got his shirt off. He's more casual. Really.
Will I find it? Yes, I will. Happiness is a tall tree. Can I climb it, watch?
And again, this is what Albert Finney at the time, 1970, looks like for
Chaperone.
real. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Chaperones.
The Fezziwigs is chaperones. I don't know that's going to work out because Fezziwig seems a little bit too much fun to chaperone anything.
They say happiness.
And throughout the course of this, see, you're watching him change. The hat is now black. The tie around his neck is now black. He's far more serious.
Happiness
and they're wandering and they're walking, and you can see
upon me, walking my way.
visually see you're watching Scrooge through the course of this scene. And she's of course so very happy and ready to spend the rest of her life as Mrs. Scrooge. And Fezziwig so happy.
Happiness is a bright
And he's darkening down.
Are we happy?
She's so happy and he's so driven.
Yes.
And driving the carriage. But he's still got that light heart smile, that that amazing Albert Finney smile.
Let me fly. Let me fly.
This is probably one of the
We are. Oh, wait, we can catch up.
Happiness is whatever.
Here he is. This is the final act of life in his life. Is his proposal.
Oh my God.
And there they are. This is the happiest moment. This is his peak. And then we look back at Fezziwigs again as they dance.
You were good.
There, and old Scrooge sings
Yes,
the lamentation.
That's
of
exactly
his
right.
loss. It's
Because
so
that's what the
fantastic.
Ghost of Christmas Past
Again, guys,
did.
if
She
you'd like
reminded
to-
him.
If you'd like to watch this film without all of our speculation and commentary, you're welcome to do so right here on HWWS Web TV. You can find this film in our video section under Watch List. There are some HWWS Web TV movies, and this is one of them. So please take a look at it. So Brian, what do you think so far, man? What are you thinking?
Honestly, for the first time of me ever seeing this, I had to agree with everybody else. I see more cheery. I'm so used to seeing the dark tones like in the original Christmas Carol, but seeing this for the first time, it honestly makes me have a change of heart that some of the Christmas Carol movies can be are mostly dark, and this one's
a little more uplifting, yeah.
it.
And
Oh,
see,
but
now
here he comes.
Here
He's
we
like,
come
yeah.
again with that cinematography, his costume. You see his jacket's black now, his tie.
Right.
He's and she's not so happy right now. And this is Ebenezer in his first commitment to his wealth and
And he's like,
station.
what are you talking about?
How shall I ever understand this world? There is nothing on which it is so hard as poverty, and yet there is nothing it condemns with such severity as the pursuit of wealth.
You fear the world too much, Ebenezer. All your nobler dreams that I loved, I've seen die off, one by one.
Again, we saw that visually as his earth tones from Fezziwig's dance to the early on the boat where he's casual.
Yes.
And then his jacket stays brown, but his tie turns black and his hat, and then finally his jacket turns to the black, and he's now in the black and grays. And this is the Ebenezer that we're going to live with as the future goes on. And so again, thematically, just wonderful
Words,
choices
no.
made.
But in a changed nature, yes.
And Willow says the Victorian outfits are inspired her to get her steampunk outfit done. That would be amazing.
I would love to see it, Willow. Just
Still do.
I'm trying to listen.
Yeah,
right.
interestingly,
I'm trying to differ. I love
yeah.
her hat. The Ghost of Christmas Past has a fantastic hat.
Yes, Carl. Interestingly enough, we talked about this a little bit earlier. The sets from the 1970 Scrooge were actually leftover sets from the 1968 adaptation.
Which was also a musical.
Also a musical adaptation. And these sets, many of these sets are being reused on Scrooge. Yes, it is. And actually, there's a kind of poetic irony in reusing older sets to save a buck on a Scrooge film. So that's pretty awesome.
yeah, I mean, makes sense to why remake everything when you can just use what's left over.
Absolutely. And so, in typical Ebenezer fashion, the studios now this adaptation actually was put together by CBS Studios.
Yes,
for
it was.
television, but it wasn't aired on CBS. It was actually aired on NBC.
Yes, isn't that interesting?
So the CBS.
4 years later, it was in because it aired on NBC in 1974.
Okay, and so CBS makes the film for television.
Yes.
And then NBC airs it 4 years later, 1974. So it just this is the heyday, if you will, the golden days of broadcast, of network broadcast out there, and so you can see that collaboration, much like what we do here on internet broadcasting now.
That's very true.
Collaborating with our other creators like Bryant and of course Willow, and others.
And a host of others.
A wide host. We have 14 shows, 14 series you can find right here on HWWS Web TV right now.
That is true. None of them a musical, though. Well, that's what we have the radio for.
That's right, HWWS Indie Music Radio, which is playing Christmas
Wait,
music.
I can't wait to start my series. I'm been getting ideas together for it, so I'm nervous about starting mine, but I'm also just excited about it also.
It's wonderful. We caught a first look at the artwork for Bryant's upcoming series on HWWS Web TV, and the artwork was brilliant, wonderful work, and we're really looking forward to that. Terry McIver again in the chat says hello to Bryant.
With I gotta thank Terry for
episode we jumped the shark.
Boy,
I
got
certainly
lots of
hope
sharks.
not. I hope we don't jump the shark in that episode.
with I had to thank Terry because he was the one that did the art for my page. He's the one that created the logo for it. So if I thank him once, again, thank Terry because he made the artwork amazing, and I'm definitely in his good graces. I thank you for that a lot because the one I came up with was not that good.
Did a fantastic job. This is great here. After Ebenezer's first encounter with the Ghost of Christmas Past, his encounter there, he's starting to feel lamentation, but not true remorse.
That's correct.
He's not sorry for who he is at this point. He is, but he does feel the lamentations of his past.
Bit of regret.
The one that got away.
Yes.
Of course. And of course, I think that in this particular adaptation,
Now he's mad at
of
himself.
Scrooge-
Well, that's enough of that.
Yeah, enough crying.
That's
here,
right.
But you know, that early lamentation seems to be mostly about the girl that got away, which is an interesting take. And this is 1970 and 1970s sensibilities.
Yes.
But they spend a lot more time in the literature talking about his childhood, his relationship with his father, his relationship there, and then again in 2019, excuse me, when we saw Guy Pearce's adaptation of Scrooge. Guy Pearce's adaptation is much more affected by his relationship with his father.
Yes.
And his relationship with his sister. And so we get a little more in depth there. But in 1970, we have a very romantic movie going audience. And so the idea of the one that got away seems to be the takeaway from this film. Although there were mentions of his childhood, etc.
Yes.
And that his father was different now when he was allowed to come home, etc.
Oh boy, here comes the sparkly door.
This is great. Now, this is one of my favorite adaptations of the Spirit of Christmas.
He is wonderful.
He exudes the Christmas spirit.
Yes, he does exude the Christmas spirit.
I'm here, Scrooge. I'm waiting for you. Or shall I come in there and get you? I'm coming.
No, don't come in.
I'm coming.
I love that Scrooge's stockings are red.
Again, we are bringing him back to life slowly but surely, and the costume department is doing that. Now, we spend most of our time in his dressing robes, okay? And so it's the little things along the way that will be visual to you. And again, here it is in all of its glory. A celebration of excess at
Come
Christmas.
over here, you weird little man. I am the spirit of Christmas present.
Grant, you would love it. I think it would be a wonderful thing to sit down to.
You could actually, you could do it on audiobooks too. 'Cause
Yes,
that would be fantastic.
and with the right narrator, it's a brilliant read. It's not a long read. It doesn't take you a long time. It's a very good short read. 2 years ago, the kids got me a copy of Christmas Perils, which I cherish. It's wonderful, and I really do. Now, interestingly enough, here, the actor playing the Spirit of Christmas Present is meant to be larger than life and
Yes, he
huge,
is.
power over Scrooge in every way. Now, here we see him on a pile of Christmas presents and candles and trees, but he's meant to look larger than Scrooge, even in this shot here, where Scrooge is up near him. And I understand they had to actually put this actor, because he's much shorter than Albert Finney was at the time.
Indeed, he is.
So they had to put this actor on stilts underneath his
Okay, I was wondering.
actually on stilts underneath his robes.
Generous
This is one of the most beloved ghosts of Christmas. Again, this is a mayfly ghost. The Spirit of Christmas Present exists for one night a year. He'll be born and live and die on Christmas Eve of that year.
Yes.
And so when he is talking to Scrooge, he says, "You have not seen my life before, perhaps one of my brothers." He says, this is the first time in the history of the literature where we actually hear a year called out. Because the Christmas said, "You might have met one of my brothers. I have 18." you know,
The sins of man are huge.
and
1869.
59 brothers. And so this is the
Or
first time.
68. I don't know, whichever one.
Yeah. And this is the first time we hear a time frame placed on Dickens's story.
That is true.
In 1833, when it was published, it did not have a time stamp.
As a handy candidate for hell, I must admit, life sometimes has its brighter side as well.
Interesting. With the Christmas traditions being what they are, the idea of a little spiced eggnog or wine at the Christmas table is such a part, an indelible part of the holiday that I thought it was wonderfully crafted, that the spirit of Christmas.
I like pouring the wine, and why not?
Of course.
Life,
Of course,
pleasure, I
lot
deny not.
intoxicated, not by the libation, but by the spirit of Christmas. So very well done.
I like life here and now. Life and I made a mutual vow. Till I die, life and I, we'll both try to be better somehow. And if life were a woman, she would be my wife. Why? Because
I like life.
Oh, very well.
Right.
You, but not for me. I hate life.
Nonsense, man. Why?
Because life hates me. That's right.
Scrooge, you're an even bigger fool than I took you for. I've never heard such a lot of self-pitying drivel. You don't even know how to live. Now you listen to me. I like life. Well, go on. I like life. That's better. Life likes me.
You know, yes, this particular ghost shows up pretty hammered, actually, I think.
It's true.
Because this is his one night to celebrate, his one night to live. He exists only for one night.
That's better, Scrooge. I like thinking the thoughts I'm thinking. I like songs, I like dance, I hear music and I'm in a trance.
Now again, in the music throughout this, we had 4 Oscar nominations for music in this 1970s production. And interestingly enough, of course, Dickens doesn't include songs and music in his literature. However, one of the things that the musicians did very, very well, and again, these are the only 4 nominations for an Oscar of a film adaptation of A Christmas Carol, and there won't be another one for some 18 years, 12 years, when Mickey Mouse's Christmas Carol
They did.
Because I like life.
Very distinct.
How much we
and the spirit of Christmas is the vision of the English version of Father Christmas, part of the Santa Claus tradition. The English tradition comes from the Father Christmas story, and so that's what the spirit of Christmas present is. Father Christmas, joy and a love of life. That's really what a great expression of the Christmas spirit. It's not really about giving gifts or presents or sitting around the tree. It's about embracing life, embracing the weekend. And that is really the message of Scrooge, and that we're getting a look at throughout this film. Is Scrooge learning how not to celebrate Christmas,
I would say look in the window. It will cost you nothing, which I'm sure will be good news for you.
Bring Christmas, to celebrate Christmas in every day.
Which I'm sure will be good news for them. I could do with another of them drinks later.
Well, everybody, I'm going ahead and say bye to some of y'all. And
Brian, thank you for coming by, man. For enjoying. I hope you enjoy the rest of the film and have a great day and a happy holidays, my man.
Absolutely.
Happy holidays.
Yes. And here we are. We're peeking in. Again, this is so
Peeking
apropos.
into the crotchets.
It's so apropos that Scrooge has lived his life since those days that we saw with the Ghost of Christmas Past.
Mm-hmm.
He's been looking, peeking into the lives of people for forever now. He's been living he is the specter at the feast, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very, very appropriate that he should be crouched over, peeking in the window as Christmas unfolds before him in a home that's so poor and yet so And again, I can recall many years ago, especially as a student, being just with I returned to school with 4 sons here in the house, and whatnot, being so poor and having some of the best memories and Thanksgiving, despite that poverty and lack of wherewithal. And, so it's always Bob Cratchit's home was always inspiration to me because they find joy in each other. It's really wonderful to see.
I do love that we are peeking in the window and out of the window. I think we should peek out our window too.
Yes.
I would ask you to drink a toast to the sparkling good health.
Oh, right now,
Right now we have Jacob
Ghost.
Marley is in
Jacob
there.
Marley,
He's really
yes.
just disturbing me. But you know what? Well, let's go ahead and close
Okay.
it.
A little bit of magic, yeah.
Let's see if we can close this.
And Mr. Ebenezer Scrooge.
If there is I believe what's happening. Cancel that, please. I go into the camera mic side. There you go. I think there is a nice winter out the window. Yes.
You earned
And
it,
we
my
can
love.
go ahead and
15 shillings a week at
as the
an
magic
hour.
Yes.
Penny rise,
and Jacob Marley goes away.
You earned it.
Look out and see what we
Mr. Scrooge assures
have
me
outside
that
the
time's
window
up.
now.
He's right. For you,
There we
they are.
Oh, look at that. A beautiful snow-covered Christmas Eve. Wonderful out the window.
That's right.
Here on the set of the Hanging with Web show at HWWS Web TV headquarters in Melbourne, Florida. Thank you, everybody who is still in the chat and who's been enjoying this film with us. Please share this video. If you would like to see the film without all of our yapping, it is available right here at HWWS Web TV under our videos. You can actually go scroll on down to our playlists and find the HWWS Web TV movies playlist, where you will find a clean copy of 1970's Scrooged. Also, you can also find a copy of the 1973 Miracle on 34th Street, which we will have the film. We're going to get the Film Freaks together here, our show hosts, and we're going to do Film Freaks with the 1973 Miracle on 34th Street as well.
To the Lord Mayor.
Tiny Tim.
Tiny Tim. God bless us, everyone. Probably one of the most famous lines in Charles Dickens, any adaptation. And Tiny Tim is the most beloved character. And despite the fact Tiny Tim himself has very little aid in any adaptation of this story. However, it's so important because it gives Scrooge a peek at not just a person less fortunate, the least fortunate in this era, in this time. Because remember, this is the Victorian era. Poverty is dreadful and treacherous.
Illness abounds.
But illness in this time is welcome to 2020 in the Victorian era.
Yeah.
Illness is deadly, and despite not being terribly serious illness, and it will eventually, we know, will eventually lead to his death. And this is Scrooge being forced to see that it's not even about the illness; it's about the level of care that the Cratchits can afford.
Yes.
Again, very apropos of the modern world. One of the things that I think so much of society spends a great deal of time debating and discussing and looking its way through are the disparities between the haves and have-nots, particularly with regard to things like medicine and life-saving treatment. And of course, 2020 really put a fine point on this for so many people.
Yeah, it certainly did.
And because, even here in the United States, COVID treatment, COVID and Corona vaccines, these are all things that will be given out, be paid for. I understand the first round of vaccines will be free. It's already been negotiated by the federal government here in the U.S. And I'm sure it's similar around the globe. And that's a testament, I think, to people, writers, artists, if you will, like Dickens, and from Dickens' time on. that really have no problem showing us a mirror, holding up a mirror to ourselves.
Turn over a sick
Hey,
child.
what can we do better? What are we doing wrong? So in this time of crisis, we actually do things and we do work. And of course, later on, when it starts to be an annual thing or whatever, those companies will have more than an opportunity to make their money and to be successful. But to respond to the emergency, we have to look at the eyes of.
What does it matter to you, Ebenezer?
And we have to be better human beings.
If he's going to die, then he'd better do it and decrease the surplus population.
Ooh, those words right back in your
Right back at him.
Ladies and
Right back.
gentlemen.
Now,
and make him think.
Now, this doesn't necessarily show one of my favorite scenes with the spirit of Christmas presents. It's very brief. It's not as
that's true. It is very brief.
It's very brief in this, but it is incredibly. It's one of the lessons, if you will, that I've always taken from this story, both as a reader and a viewer. It's something very important, and we'll get there in just a minute with the card. We'll read that quote and really get into that. Again, we spent our first visit with the Ghost of Christmas Present. We spent with the Cratchits, showing Scrooge how the poor are celebrated. And here we see his nephew, who is perhaps not terribly successful, but well enough off, and his wife. And so we see the merchant class celebrating the holidays. A little bit different than Fezziwig's Day. It's not the employees, whatever. This is the friends, part of the aristocracy. I think what's done really, really well here is that the party of the aristocrats, the party of Cratchits, is so very similar. While the environment is dissimilar, and the environment is very starkly different. The idea of the spirit of Christmas, love, and friendship, and camaraderie, these things are very much alive in both locations. So much so that they're both actually drawing Scrooge. He's very much, again, he's an outsider, but he's very much looking, being pulled into the room.
We'll have some dancing, some music, then we'll play some splendid party games. There's a charming new game called The Minister's Cat. It's very funny. You'll all end up getting very angry when you lose.
As for you, nephew, if you were in my will, I'd disinherit you.
One of the most beloved adaptations of Scrooge is Bill Murray's Scrooge from the 90s. And I love that their version of which is the game, the Victorian game, party game, was a television version of Trivial Pursuit, if you remember. And I thought there was a wonderful updating of the game. I know that as we had a lot of my parents, and music playing and maybe something on the TV, mostly visiting and things like that. I don't ever recall as many party games, but party games have become they sort of had a reinvigoration the past few years. We've seen a lot. And so I think that's really neat. It would be interesting to see in the modern era with things like Zoom and these things. It would be interesting to see sort of an online party version of things like the Minister's Cat.
That would be fantastic.
Please, in the chat, if you're watching this for the first time or whatever, put in the chat what you think. Would you want to play an online version of Cat or Trivial Pursuit, or would you show up for a version of those games, a party game in the COVID during having a COVID Christmas, as it were? Would you show up to be a part of it? And I do love that even though he can't be seen, Scrooge is so much making himself a part of the party.
Yes,
He's been drawn into the fun of it. Scrooge himself who disdains fun with as much vigor as he disdains Christmas.
Oh, that's because he's drunk on the milk of human kindness.
The milk of human kindness, that's right, the spirit of Christmas.
What a wonderful evening. That Minister's Cat
and he stands and says goodbye to all of the guests. Now, again, in stark contrast to the Scrooge at the office, who couldn't slam the door fast enough.
Since I was a young apprentice at old Fezziwig so many years ago. What Christmases we used to have in those days. Fantastic they were. He had this thought.
And there it is.
Reminded me.
Again, the expression that these actors brought to these characters, it's in this close-up here where you can really feel Scrooge beginning to lament
Yes.
what he's given up in his pursuits. And to so many, I think, who have read or maybe haven't read or even seen an adaptation, but have heard the story of Scrooge over the years, I think so many see it as sort of the redemptive arc of Scrooge. And sort of the anti-wealthy thing, but that's not anything to do. This is about the what we commit to our success. Every decision we have is a consequence and a trade, if you will. Scrooge's trade was his humanity. He traded his humanity for wealth he didn't appreciate. It didn't make him happy. He thought that it might, but it didn't make him happy. He still scrouges the coal by his own fire. He hasn't changed the drapes in his room. He hasn't lived a lifestyle that says he celebrates anything. He traded that celebratory passion for a
I have brought you
abundant work ethic.
going. My time upon this little planet is very brief.
But never
I must
to
leave you
good
now.
effect. Neither generosity in his fellow man, nor
There is never enough time to do or say all the things that we would wish.
very, very. It's the definition of
Try
it,
to do as much as you can in the time that you have.
to be miserable.
Remember, Scrooge,
Yes.
time
Hoarded your own happiness away.
you're not
And,
there anymore.
Dickens did a wonderful job of painting that picture. And of course, Albert Finney brings it to life in his eyes. That wonderful portrayal of regret. And here he is again, very comedically, wrestling, as it were, with the snow outside in his own bed.
Yes.
Again, these visits by these spirits are very much meant to keep it in line with a dream.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly enough,
Did it happen? Maybe it did. Maybe
for
not.
those of you that don't know this, or maybe they do, in the literature, while all of these apparitions happen through the course of Christmas Eve, they do not actually. They happen over the course of 3 different nights. Each night at the same time, a spirit arrives. So over 3 nights, well past Christmas, we have Christmas Eve spent with Christmas past. And Christmas present. So the day after Christmas spent with. Then it's not until after all 3 ghosts and all 3 days have passed that we learn that it was all done in one night. But his redemption. And those 3 days that he had wasted, now do over again. And cinematic license for the purposes of the cinema, we do it all in one night, and we know it's happening. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock.
Ghost of the future, I fear you more than any other.
Again, and we didn't in the Ghost of Christmas Present, we didn't see one of my favorite lines.
To be another man from what I was, I am prepared to bear you company.
Ignorance this girl is one. There's a moment in the literature and in several of the film adaptations where the Ghost of Christmas Present peels back his robe, and he has 2 very and he points to them out and he says, "This boy is ignorant, this girl is wise. We wear them both. Most of all, beware this girl. Beware this boy, excuse me, ignorant. For in his eyes, I see the coming doom." And it's so apropos because that is those are meant to be. We want too much and we know too little, and not necessarily know too little, but and I always love that. It's one of the best teaching moments from the story, and it was so sad not to see it here. But this is a much lighter version. It wouldn't have been appropriate to wrap these children's robes, you know, they're very scroungy, and so, but it is one of my favorite moments from any adaptation.
Commonly happy for someone so
Where
deep
we are
in
fortunate
debt.
to front that these children, these
All these people owe me money. They
things
love me and I never knew.
Kindly hold down your emotions.
are our own ignorance and our own want.
Now we are all deeply moved. Those of us who
However,
have been in
that same vein, this next song
never
does it
forget
almost as well.
what a rare and
This
beautiful
is these are all the people who owe Scrooge. He's looking at his own career. And he is really juxtaposed well
I thank you from the
to
bottom of my heart.
what's happened.
I remember this moment until my
Where he
dying
stands
day.
up
For is a jolly good fellow.
the way he was. And so here he is. I'm a jolly good fellow.
Say, in all humility, I have labored unceasingly all my life to be worthy of this moving demonstration of your feelings towards me.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of all the people who have assembled here, I would merely like to mention, if I may, that our unanimous attitude is one of lasting gratitude.
There you go, Carl. Yes. Yeah. When I actually, this is really this is where Ebenezer backslaps.
That anyone's ever done
Throughout
for
the
me.
three visits,
But my delight is
the
such
girl that got away, the life that
there was one for me. And if I had a flag, I'd angry flag,
as each goes.
to add a sort of final victory touch. But since I left me flag, I'll simply have to say thank you very, very, very much.
Thank you very, very, very much.
And he's being celebrated. And in fact, his demise.
Thank you very much. That's the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me. It sounds
And you know, it's sort of
things the way they are.
feeling
I
to the
feel
idea.
as if another life's begun for me. And if I had a cannon, I would fire it. To add a sort of celebration touch. But it's not every cannon that I must simply have to say. Thank you very, very, very much. Thank you very, very, very much.
Is joyful celebration. He's never been celebrated. He remembers celebrating.
All of us.
He himself has never been celebrated. And so this is done very dark and bleak in many other pictures where you see these some of the darkest bridges where we see the broker and the different political company counting his things. They can sell and shower for free. This is one of my favorite songs from the musical.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me. The future looks all right. In fact,
Right. Yes, probably. And honestly, people have we have a very interesting and divided and jaded populace these days, and who look at many people that they know from business and politics and everywhere else and say very Scrooge-like. And Scrooge sort of coined the idea of the miser in popular imagination.
Indeed.
And he's certainly not the first Dickens character to be miserly. But he is certainly the most celebrated. And I think, again, part of that has to do with his redemption
Yes.
through the holidays and what that represents. And of course, the empty. This has always been one of the most poignant things, and they did it well here. But I think they probably could have cinematically done that just a little better, held that moment just a little longer.
Mm.
The empty crutch, as it's described in the story by Dickens, the empty crutch by the fireplace is so poignant. And we don't need to see a body. We don't even need to see a grave, which we're going to see here. But we don't need to see a body or a grave, because the empty crutch by the fireplace says it all. And it says it all to us in such an emotional way. If we were watching this without the commentary, et cetera, right now, that's a gut punch for me every time. And this is a 1970s musical. And I will tell you, I nearly weep every time I see that crutch by the fireplace.
Yes.
And
today, now in,
again, in 2020, there are so many empty crutches. By so many fireplaces, to remind us.
Come and see
almost 300,000.
Same time.
So it's important that we remember to celebrate life.
Very.
And stories like this have always done that, and that's what Dickens was doing.
Mm-hmm.
He was teaching us. He was teaching about the disparagements between classes. He was teaching us to be better human beings, and that's where this is headed for Scrooge.
Mm-hmm.
And in a very dark way, obviously. Terrible.
Poor tiny Tim. Spirit, you
Will anyone this Christmas ask this question? Will anyone out there ask this question? What could I have done? Or what can I do to make a difference?
Exactly.
It's an important question, guys. It certainly is. What the crux of the popularity for more than 170 years, the popularity of this Christmas story. And of course,
you get it.
Absolutely terrifying. Now he gets it.
You shall beg you. I've sinned the error of my ways. I will repent. Truly, I will repent.
And here you go. Now, this is an excellent way to visually demonstrate this moment. But really, what he says here in the books is this apropos shows you the importance of this scene. Now, this is by the filmmaker, where we're going to get to see, certainly we're going to get to see Scrooge treated the way he treats Bob Cratchit. In his place in hell, in the hot place, as it's,
Yes.
But his begging of the Ghost of Christmas Future was interesting. And in the book, I think they did it with him literally, Dickens explaining to us what was happening, what we were witnessing. And this is where a lot of authors tend to hit you over the head with their message. And Dickens did that. And so you have there are two quotes that we picked up from the Dickens website. One is him acknowledging the purpose of the visit of the ghost, which is here. The much fuller. I know the purpose is to do me good, and as I hope to live, to be another man from what I was. He's starting to realize what this purpose is now. Because of the music and because it was more entertaining up top side, I think this choice was made by our filmmaker.
So he said this on the beginning when the Ghost of Christmas Past first comes around. You are the one I have feared the most.
Yes.
But I know the purpose here is to do me good.
Yes.
So he says that from the outset.
And so by sending him here,
I should have thought it was obvious.
Perils, as it were.
I heard you were coming down today, so I thought I'd come to greet you, show you to your quarters. Nobody else wanted to.
I love that.
Isn't that wonderful? Marley
Yes.
just drives it home. Yeah, nobody even wants you here in hell.
Yeah, you are so unpopular.
Look how full of energy Marley is. He's like, haha.
Very artfully done here too. This is very The rest of the film had a great realism to it, with even with that Technicolor musical feel, it still had a nice, those dirty streets of London feel. This is very theatrical moment. This scene scared the crap out of me when I was a kid.
It's true.
Said Grant. Which version of the story I was watching? Yes, Alistair Sim's version of this scene is terrifying. Truly is. 1951, I believe that was Alistair Sim. Terrifying. I've never seen a version that included this part. Yeah, there were a couple of versions that included his moment in hell. Again, meant to drive home lessons that we get in darker adaptations. Those we don't need this,
right?
Because just the idea of death and conclusion, finality, is enough to drive home what he's already seen. And of course, again, the empty crutch at the fireplace that does it more than anything else. Love any version of A Christmas Carol. Yes.
I agree, Toodles K.
I do too. And we've learned so much as we researched and did some of the deep dive on this particular film. We found so many films and things that we loved, but then so many that were obscure.
Yes.
And again, this has been being performed since the very year after Dickens put it out on the stage.
Indeed, it has.
It was adapted in 1844, 1 year after Scrooge released the book for the London Theatre. And perpetually been here. Interestingly enough, the book Christmas Carol, Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, has never been.
It has not.
It has never fallen out of print. New editions have been coming out since edition came in 1843, and new editions have come out every single year, and it has never not been available. He was a well-known author, a well-known writer. When no publisher wanted this Christmas book, out. They had 6,000 copies published and taken to bookstores and sold out.
That's a Christmas present.
The ultimate Christmas present. I love that this chain is the links themselves are so big. This is not Marley's chain.
That's quite a chain.
Help me! Help me!
Humbug. Merry Christmas.
Don't leave me, Mary!
I'll runs over
and here. And he wakes up here. He's sweaty and he's wrapped in his own sheet. And this where he drives it home again. And again, Dickens doesn't beat around the bush with this. He wants you to get what he's talking about. In a lot of Dickens' tales, he does this. Social messaging is the same, but Carol, he doesn't wait around for you to get it. He just socks it to you. And here, as he opens the window, look at the almost maniacal look on Albert Finney's face as he is, and the soliloquy right here comes from the literary version of "I Shall Keep Christmas," and you go down to this quote right here: "I will past and the present and the future, the spirits of all three strive to fulfill This is his soliloquy on camera, based on this. And
be something that will last.
There's a large epitaph, if you will, to A Christmas Carol by Dickens, where again he goes back and surmises so much of the story.
That I have lived to
look at
give.
Oliver Twist or Bleak House or Dickens. He tends to figure it out on your own. He uses very sharp pictures, but he lets you figure it out. Figure it out on your own. Every line.
I will start anew. I will make amends, and I'll make quite certain that the story ends on a note of hope, on a strong amen. And I thank the world.
Yes, and again, the choices, filmmaking choices here were wonderful. I mean, his robes, letting all the room. Even with all the same stuff, we had still cobweb. But to see a
I'm as happy as an angel. I'm as giddy as a drunken man. Merry Christmas, everybody!
Had and he doesn't know what to do with it.
Jacob, wherever you are, you shall see a change in me, Jacob, I
Watch out for the post at the bottom of the stairs.
There isn't one, and there always is one, by the way.
There is.
But there isn't in the
Albert Finney said, "You better remove that if you want me to fly down that for real."
I don't blame him. I would have said the same. I wouldn't chance it. Look at him here. He's so.
One night when they can do what they like, you see. Of course they can. Of course they can. Hello, my fine young fellow.
Hello.
You know the butcher's in the next street but one.
I should hope so.
What a remarkable boy, an intelligent boy. Do you happen to know if they've sold the prize turkey that was hanging up in the window? Not the big one, the enormous one.
What, you mean the one as big as me?
What a wonderful boy. So it is a pleasure to talk to him. Yes, that's the one.
It is a huge turkey, by the way.
It really is.
Here's 2 sovereigns. Go and wake up the butcher and tell him to open his shop. Meet me there in 10 minutes. Behold in that turkey, and I'll give you a half a crown. Go on, run.
Crown.
That, by the way, again,
Telling ya.
remember, guys, 1843, the original A Christmas Carol sold in bookshops for 5 shillings.
5 shillings.
5 shillings, which was the equivalent then, in terms of working, to 25 pounds today, which is about 35 American dollars, 35 to 40 American dollars. Now, thinking about that, 5 shillings being about 30 bucks, half a crown. That it's like handing a kid a $50 bill.
That's true.
Amazing. Because you can. And the kid's not obviously going to complain.
That's exactly right. But it's just, he's just like, look. I love that he plays with all the toys.
I do too. I really, it again, it speaks to that scene earlier when he was alone in the school.
He said, "Oh, look, we have to have some of these
And
some of those. I don't know what they are, but we have to have some."
Boy, I have that. Oh, now how much is all this? Well, never mind. Here are some sovereigns, and you can keep the change. Oh, thank you, Mr. Scrooge. And I shall require the services of several small boys to help to transport these delightful objects to their destination. And each boy shall receive a half a crown. Half a crown, yes.
Oh boy, here we go. Now we're just passing out half a crowns. Woohoo! Go Scrooge!
I'm telling you.
What happened? It's perfectly simple, Pringle. I've discovered that I like life.
Yeah, the real message. In 1843, you could give Interestingly enough, in the social strata of the Victorian era,
which is just as it should be.
Particularly orphan children. Sadly, disease, the very filthy conditions of Western London, and disease, etc., led to many orphan children. And they would do anything to stay out of the orphanage system. The workhouses, the prisons,
Pop up. Can I help you with this? Can I?
and
fix
they
you
would,
this?
and
Can
so
I-
they would work. That was their work. They would be
Yeah.
messengers. And, it's a part of so much literature from the era. Arthur Conan Doyle wrote the Sherlock Holmes series. He gave Sherlock Holmes what he called the baker's
because I like
London that would run errands and put messages and telegrams to Sherlock and Watson from the police and everywhere else. This was a very Toodle. I'm sorry, Toodle.
Skay.
What's that?
I thought it was
Toodle Skay. Okay, Toodle Skay. Thank you for being with us today and sharing our watch along with us. Yes, 1951 Alistair Sims adaptation. Again, Scrooge with adaptation of the
I like jazz, I hear music, and I'm in a trance.
And
that horrid frown, and you were just like,
and around
La la la, oh papa, I should get up and France. Where there's music and laughter, happiness is life. Why? Because I like life.
both bad and good. I think even
hey, I think
yeah. They both guys.
Uncle Ebenezer.
I love that. Now, nephew here actually one of the production.
he's the co-writer.
He's the co-writer of this adaptation of Scrooge. And he's also a good friend of Albert Finney.
Exactly right.
There were actually several actors up for this, including Sir Richard Harris, I believe, one of them. And he was called away to another project. And a couple of different actors, and it was finally this writer
Maybe expects you
for the role.
And we're so happy he did.
We are. Again, Sir Richard Harris, I think, would have brought a sense of gravitas to the role, much like that Stewart did. And the music, singer dance. So,
Music and laughter, happiness is
early on, remember, we started this with the boys in the neighborhood doing the father pictures.
Yeah.
And, we talked a lot on the show and in our blog news about the traditions of Santa Claus and where it comes from and all of the different traditions made up the modern Santa Claus. But here's Father British Christmas. And he's now he went from being the old tragedy Father Christmas from the song to being to become the Father incarnate.
Yes. Now it's heartfelt.
Yes.
A nice version.
The dancing style.
Like,
the dancing style is very reminiscent like you see the influence. That style. Almost the dancing style. Sort of coffee dancing almost.
That's true.
That chimney sweep feel. Reginald Owen, 1938 version. Mark B. Lee from Saturday Morning Cartoons. That's one of his favorites as well.
That's true.
Is the 1938. Also, there are so many adaptations. Again, there are
Grant just went down the rabbit hole.
he just went into the Wikipedia to find more.
It's amazing what's out there.
There's some that are not going to show up on some of the adaptations as the Scrooge is not on that list. Because it's also An American Christmas Carol with Winkler is not on it. The 2019 adaptation by BBC and Hulu with Pierce. Patrick Stewart is not on it, believe it or not.
Isn't that odd?
Yeah, it is very odd.
No, and I think that's wonderful. No, he didn't steal it.
The
Where
fairy?
in the world is he gonna put that?
I have no idea.
I saw it at the Magic House.
They literally live in this little tiny
That's right.
hovel. And look at that.
Yes.
No, I
Your Father Christmas.
No idea. And there it is. Boom. There it is. Love that reaction. Always beautiful to see how Mrs. and Mrs. Craig reacts differently in almost every adaptation we see to finding out about Scrooge. Interestingly enough, this we talked earlier. This is almost the
And we will get it well, you know, Bob.
I believe you. I believe anything.
And may this be the
so weird this publication because
Stop thinking. About that £6 you owe me.
You agreed to give me a few more days.
You can keep thinking my Christmas present to you. God bless you this Christmas day, Mr.
19th, sold out by Christmas Eve.
Thank you very much. That's the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me.
February 5th.
With things the way they are, I feel as if another life began for me.
Oh, they put
And that goes for anyone else who wants
Super
me money you can keep because of this day. All my
celebrating its temple.
And still gives him a cup of broth every day anyway.
Anyway,
And he just
now-
tore up his debt.
out of time.
It isn't every day good fortune comes my way.
I never thought the future would be fun for me. Gentlemen, Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas, Mr. Scrooge! Come to my office on Monday morning and I will give you 100 guineas for your most worthy cause and the same every
Oh,
Christmas.
okay. We discussed this earlier. What figgy pudding was? And pork no figs at all. Wow, we were talking about this on camera earlier. Thank you very much for that. We had not thought to look at the song, the Christmas also sung. So they're moving towards the square here in the big building inside.
We're near his-
They were very well, first of all, this is the production number here is really something drawn right out of the 1950s or 1960s, the heyday of the movie. Really, it's see all of the actors and all of the performers singing and dancing on set. Massive set.
And I love how they, they focus in on him. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of marrying who hasn't been married in a long time.
It is. It is. And he would be winded. My favorite. It's the finale of Charles Dickens, and this scene is speaking to it. He's as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew, or any other good old city, town, or borough. in the good old world. That's just so apropos. That's what I wish for all of us moving forward into Christmas, that we become as good a friend and as good a man as the good old city knew. And what a wonderful thing to aspire to. This is actually a terrific little nod to our beginnings. To see the door knocker that held such dread,
yes,
with the face of Marley.
Get ready.
Now, again, just like Ebenezer transformed into hope. Great. Thank you guys so much for being here while we watched this adaptation of Christmas Carol, Scrooged, 1970, with Albert Finney, Sir Alec Guinness, and a full star-studded cast, really bringing you a musical version. Tudlesk says, I have almost every version on DVD. Told you I was a nut about this movie. That's fantastic.
That
is awesome.
A beautiful picture to see that whole collection together.
Wow. That is fantastic. Wow. You should take a picture of that, please, and post it in this thread later on for the replay so that everybody can see the picture of the DVD play. Amazing. That's fantastic. And we are so
absolutely, Carl.
Glad that you were here. Thank you so much. We're so glad that you came in to watch with us. Guys, that was the 1970 Scrooge, starring Albert Finney and Sir Alec Guinness, adaptation of Charles Dickens' 1843 classic, A Christmas Carol. We had a ball. Thank you guys so much for watching with us.
And that song will be stuck in your head for the rest of the day. You're welcome.
Yes. Thank you very, very, very much. Thank you very much, guys. We have had so much fun.
That's
watching.
The nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me.
I don't know if showing that movie was the nicest thing we've ever done, but certainly it was a lot of fun to do. And thank you guys for making it so much fun and being here with us. So a lot are self-recorded from TV, unfortunately.
It doesn't matter. You can still enjoy them.
I completely understand. Yeah. And yes. So thank you guys for being with us.
And remember, if you want to see it,
yes, if you guys want to see that 1970s adaptation of Scrooge without all of the chatter and yakking, you can check that out right here at HWWS Web TV. Just go to our videos and go down to our playlists. There is a HWWS Web TV movies playlist, and on that you will find Scrooge.
Actually, how about I drop that in the chat?
She's going to drop the link in the chat. She's really good at that, guys. We hope you'll share this video in your feeds and throughout social media, and share our observations and the things that we got out of this wonderful watch along, as well as from the original source material. I am a huge literature fan, and Dickens is one of my favorite writers because he does dive in to those big social issues, and you know, in the Victorian era, it was really something to take aside.
Yes.
And to really to put it out there as a respected member of the aristocracy, a writer and author, to put out there your observations about the inequities and inequalities of society was really you were really putting it on the hook back there.
That's very true. And he said he wanted to bring a hammer down on those issues. He needed them put in the forefront, and this is his way of doing that.
And
wishing us a Merry Christmas at the same time. How beautiful is that?
Exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Let me go ahead with one final thing. Would you please, as 2020 comes to a close and we celebrate the holiday season, let it be said of you that you know how to keep Christmas, if ever anyone possessed the knowledge, and that you are as good a friend, as good a man or woman, as good a master as the good old city ever knew. Merry Christmas, everyone, and good night.